Hi everyone, this is Krishna Vandanapu, a business applications MVP. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will walk you through how to configure COE Starter Kit for Power Platform in Dataverse for Teams environment. On April 8th, Microsoft has announced that they have released a new package for COE Starter Kit with which I can configure the entire Center of Excellence tool, which is COE, on top of Dataverse for Teams environment. Before we go on to configuration, let us see what is a COE Starter Kit and why should I care about it. COE Starter Kit is a set of components to administer and organize the Power Platform environments and all the artifacts of Power Platform across the environments in a particular tenant. The scope of COE is a tenant level. Now, why should I care about it? Because when you see in the last 1 year, the growth of Power Platform is growing with the speed of light. Having said that, the number of environments we are creating to organize the apps for various business units are growing exponentially. It is very hard to understand how many apps were created in one environment, who are all the app makers in that environment, what are all the connectors using in that environment, what are all the custom connectors, how many flows are there, how many flows are deactivated, how many flows are orphan flows, how many apps are orphan apps. This information is very hard if we don't have a proper organizing tool to monitor on a periodic basis. That entire stuff we can do with a powerful tool called Center of Excellence, which is COE. These are all the components we will get when you configure COE on Dataverse for Teams environment. They are core components and Power BI dashboard, governance, nurturing, theming, innovation backlog components, last but not least, ALM, which is application lifecycle management. As part of this video, I will walk you through step by step how to configure the critical component, which is core components and Power BI dashboard. And I will provide you the setup manual provided by Microsoft team, with which I'm very sure you can configure the rest of the components, because the rest of the components are not difficult when I compare with the core components. Let's see what are the prerequisites. To configure COE successfully, I recommend you to come up with a dedicated account with no password expire. On that particular account, get per user license. I shall explain you why we need per user license while you are configuring COE on top of Dataverse for Teams as part of advantages and disadvantages at the end of the video. The next prerequisite is Azure admin access to configure audit log and ALM. Not but not least, absolutely come up with a dedicated Microsoft Teams for setting up COE with Dataverse for Teams environment. Before any further delay, let us see how we can configure the first component, which is core components and Power BI dashboard in Dataverse for Teams environment. Let us go ahead and download the starter kit with the help of this link provided by Manula as part of this blog to set up COE on Dataverse for Teams. I went ahead and downloaded the setup and extracted that setup into a folder. These are all the components we will be configuring as part of this demo. And if you notice here, there are two solutions for core components. One is dedicated for Dataverse for Teams environment, and other one is to configure the classic Dataverse COE environment. I have created a new team called COE for Dataverse for Teams. Now we need to enable Dataverse for Teams for this team. Click on all apps, select the Power App and say open, which will create a new Dataverse for Teams for this team. However, to see the option to import the solution, we need to create at least one dummy app. Then only we can see an option to import the solution into our Dataverse for Teams environment. Click on create an app. This will give me an option to select on which Teams environment you want to create this app. Now I'll select COE for Dataverse for Teams and I'll say create. This will host my Dataverse for Teams environment for that particular team. As I said, we need to create a sample or dummy app to see the solution import experience on top of Dataverse for Teams. I'm saying like sample app. I don't want to do anything other than creating a dummy app here. Now my app got saved. Go to build and click on see all. If you notice here it is giving me an option to import a solution. Go ahead and click on import. Now browse the core component solution, because the first component we need to configure as part of COE is core component, because as part of core component only it will create all the tables required for COE. We are configuring on Dataverse for Teams. Select core component teams 1.6. Say open. The time you say next, it will show you all the artifacts which are going to get created as part of this component. These are all the tables and these are all the flows, and also these are all the canvas apps will get created as soon as we import this solution. Click on next. It will show you all the list of connectors using as part of this component, and we need to configure these connectors with the proper account. Select the drop down, click on new connection. It will open a new window in Explorer to create the connection for that connector. Say first party create. I'm going to select my account, which is KVN Teams. I went ahead and configured all the connectors. Now I can click on next. If you see here, it is asking two environment variables to configure here. First one is admin email. Since it is my personal tenant, I'm giving my email ID. The best practice is create a Azure Active Directory secure group, add all the members you want to get notified on these alerts or notifications. Give that email ID of that group over here. Let me go ahead and add my email ID here. I went ahead and give it my email ID. Coming to Power Automate environment variable. In this, we need to provide what is the Power Automate environment you are using. As shown in the setup article, if it is for US, the URL path will be this. It is EMEA, the URL path will be this. If it is a government sector tenant, the path will be this for flow variable. Since mine is US, I'm just copying this. That is the same URL I'm placing here and say import. This import will take between 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, my core component solution got imported successfully. But how do I see all the artifacts imported as part of this solution is click on build, click on installed apps. Under installed apps tab, we will see an option to see all. Click on see all. It will show you all the artifacts which got downloaded or imported as part of this solution. These are all the tables and these are all the cloud flows got imported as part of this solution. They have moved admin welcome email flow, which is there as part of nurturing components, and now it is as part of core component, and they have added one more new flow to see the capacity alerts at each and every environment. Before we turn on any of the flows in this component, I want to show you few environment variables which get created as part of this solution. How I can navigate to the environment variable is, while we are configuring the connections, it opened a browser to configure the connection. Go to the same browser. In case you have closed the browser, configure the connection, no worries. Come to admin.powerplatform.com, select this environment and copy the environment ID. Go ahead and build the solution as make.powerapps.com/environments and environment ID/solution. Hit enter. It will take you to the same environment which we have created to configure COE. If you see here, all I have is core components and default solutions. Go ahead and click on the core components. It shows you cannot directly edit the components within a managed solution, because all the solutions we import from that package are managed solutions. Okay, go ahead and select environment variables. If you see, these are all the various other environment variables we can see as part of this solution. If you remember, we configured admin email and Power Automate environment variable. This shows you the URL of the EMEA or US region, and this shows you the email ID to which I want to send the emails, which is good. If I want to update, how I can update that is click on solutions. Go to default solution, select the environment variables here. You see the same variables here also, but from here I can edit my environment variables. If I click on that, it gives me an option to edit that. Earlier it was grayed out, right? Now I can update my environment variables from default solution. Now the reason why I came here is, look at this very important and crucial environment variable is production environment. Go to this variable and look at the description. True by default, set to false if you are creating a dev type environment. This will allow some flows to sit, target users to the admin instead of the object owners. What does that exactly mean is that if you do not set this variable to no and configure all the other components on your development environment, what happens is the governance component comes with flows which trigger email to the owners of the app and owners of the flow. If you say no here, it will not trigger the email to the owner. It will trigger email to admin stating that this particular flow has not been given with the business justification, though it is not touched in the last 6 months. If you say yes, it will trigger an email to the app owner or a flow owner directly. Since I'm configuring on a dev environment, I wanted to say this as no. I repeat, this is very important. If you don't set this as no, it will consider the environment as a production environment. Now that we set the important environment variable, I'm good to go ahead and configure all my flows. Click on Cloud Flows. There is a particular sequence I need to follow while I'm activating these flows. The flow sequence is clearly mentioned in the setup steps. As part of this article, if you go on to setup core component, under setup core component, activate the sync templates flow. The first flow I should activate is clean-admin sync template v3 check delete. That is the flow I need to activate. As part of the component overview, they have clearly explained what this flow exactly does. Since it is a brand new setup, it won't take long time when we start this flow in our tenant. The flow got turned out successfully. Let us go ahead and see how the flow is doing. Go ahead and click on details. It gives you same user interface when you go on to a flow.microsoft.com. As I said, it didn't took long time. It took is 23 seconds and the flow got completed. I'm going to start each and every sync flow apart from sync template v3 because that has to be enabled after enabling all the other flows. I went ahead and enabled all the sync template flows. Now what we need to do is we need to enable sync template v3. Once this flow is enabled, monitor the flow and turn off the flow as soon as it gets complete, because this is the flow which runs and reads all the environment details. The flow got succeeded. Now I need to turn off the flow. While the flows are getting execute, let us go ahead and configure the COE settings table. Click on tables, select the COE settings table, edit data. 1.0 is my version, and if you have any brand logo, brand primary color, all the details you can provide. I'm not interested to provide anything, so I'm just going to say Krishna Vandanapu as my company name. Now that I have provided my details, I click on close. It will save my details. If you go ahead and click on edit the data, you will see that app URL got populated automatically because this is a read-only field. You can clearly see that. Now close this and wait until all the flows get complete. We can go ahead and configure Power BI dashboard because as part of this release, they have enhanced the Power BI dashboard to direct query fashion. If you see here, this is a 2.0 release, and as part of this release notes, they have clearly mentioned that the Power BI dashboard has been updated to use direct query to connect Microsoft Dataverse. Therefore, TDS endpoint has to be enabled for that particular environment. If it is a old environment, you need to enable TDS, but if you create a brand new environment, TDS is coming by default enabled. And for Dataverse for Teams, you don't have to worry about it. It comes by default enabled. The advantage with this new Power BI report is you no longer need to schedule a refresh on a daily basis because the data is a live data. It can render immediately. In order to configure the Power BI report, you will have to have Power BI desktop application. Okay, I have launched the Power BI desktop application and click on File, Browse Report. Okay, I have navigated onto the Downloads folder and the setup. And if you see here, I have PBIT file. Select that file, click on Open. The time you click on the PBIT file, it will try to extract that Power BI dashboard on your Power BI desktop application. Once it is extracted, it will immediately ask you org URL. What is this org URL? Is the org URL of your environment. Open the Teams. When you come on to Teams, click on About. Under About, click on Session Details. It will show you instance URL. Copy this and go back to your Power BI desktop and paste that here and ensure that I don't have the backslash at the end. Also remove the https://. Now you click on Load. It will load the Power BI dashboard report. The time you say that, it will let you to connect. Click on Connect. Now it will extract the Power BI dashboard completely. It will also take say like 5 to 7 minutes. My Power BI dashboard got extracted successfully. If you notice here, though my flows are still running on the other side, it picked the data whatever has been populated till now. And it shows the environment also, environment COE for Dataverse for Teams. This is the environment we have created just before to configure this entire setup. So that is the beauty with the latest Power BI report. It is a dynamic data. It takes then and there. Now I'm happy with all my report. Now I need to publish this report onto my Power BI portal. Click on Publish. First it will ask you to save. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this as Power BI report with connection. If you notice here, while I'm saving this, this is saving the file as PBIX. Earlier it was PBIT. It is PBIX. Now I'm saving it as, click on Save. The time you save, it will ask you, hey, do you have any workspace specific, or are you okay to click on the default workspace, which is my workspace? I'm okay to publish onto my workspace. Go ahead and click on my workspace. Now this will publish this Power BI dashboard onto Power BI portal. Once it is done, I can go onto my Power BI portal and see how it is working. Say this. Now I can open this in Power BI portal. Click on this. It will open in Power BI portal. It is rendering the same report. When you click on here, it shows you all the workspaces. This is your default workspace, and under this default workspace, you can see this is the Power BI report with connections. This is my data set, and when I click on all, I can see my data set and my dashboard also, which is my report as well. That is how I can configure my Power BI dashboard. My Power BI dashboard is absolutely ready. Now I can add this Power BI dashboard on my Teams channel. Click on plus icon and browse for Power BI. It will show you all the Power BI reports which you have access on. Under my workspace, this is the report I wanted to add as a tab. Power BI report with connection. Select and save. It automatically add my COE dashboard on my Teams as a tab. It added everything there. So my flows got executed successfully. Now all I have to do is I have to go ahead and enable all the other flows as part of this component. Now that we have configured core components and Power BI dashboard on a newly created Dataverse for Teams environment, go ahead and configure all the other components with the help of setup guide provided by Microsoft. I went ahead and configured all the other solutions in another Dataverse for Teams environment. This is the environment I have imported all my solutions. If you go on to installed apps, it will show you each and every component as a tile. Under that tile, if you click on see all, I can see all the artifacts associated to that component. If you notice here, I see Microsoft Flow Approvals, Microsoft Flow Approvals Core Solution. These two are not part of my package, but why I see that here is as part of configuring approval flow for governance component, it will import two more solutions into my environment. They are Microsoft Flow Approvals and Microsoft Flow Approval Core Solutions, and the rest all are the solutions which I have imported from the package I downloaded from docs.microsoft.com. Let us see few of the important apps we get when we configure all the components of COE and how we can make use of that and how that helps you to govern the apps and environments in the Power Platform environment. The first app I wanted to discuss here is Power Platform Admin View. This is the app where it shows you each and every artifact at a high level, which is what are all the apps I have at each and every environment level. If you know the name of the app, you can always search at the top. This is a Canvas app and works very quick in performance. Select the app. It shows you all the details of the app, what is the name of the app, when it is created, how many users it has been shared with, and what is the type of the app. And under complaints, I can always say what is my business justification for this app, and also I can promote the app as part of my app catalog so that other people in the organization can make use of this app. Also, they have given the filter to filter various app types. If I want to show only Canvas apps, I can see the Canvas app. If I want to see all the model driven apps at my tenant level, I can see all the model driven apps. As part of environment, it shows you all the environments which are created at that tenant, and the soon I select the environment, it shows you what is the name of the environment, what is the type of the environment, number of apps created that environment, number of flows, and what is the URL of that environment. If you click on a Dataverse for Teams environment, even for that also it clearly shows what is the URL and all the other artifacts of that environment. User can provide the justification here itself with the help of Power Platform Admin View app. The next app is Innovation Backlog app. This comes as part of Innovation Backlog Component Solution. The basic use of this app is user can submit an idea with all their pain points and all the tools what they are expecting to use as part of their automation process. And the next app is Developer Complaint Center app. This app is a very beautiful and very handy app because it shows you all the categories of the artifacts at the tenant level. It shows you all the Canvas app irrespective of the environment, model driven apps, flows, and if you see the beauty, it also shows or segregates what are all my apps which runs on top of SharePoint forms. The last and very important point I wanted to cover before I jump on to advantages and limitations is, as part of the governance component, Microsoft team had added two new flows to govern Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environments. They are weekly cleanup and other one is business justification for the Teams environment. How do they work is, the business justification flow will wake up every day and look for are there any new Dataverse for Teams environments got created at my tenant. If there are any, it sends an adaptive code on Microsoft Teams as like this, asking for business justification. And the second flow is to clean up the Dataverse for Teams environment in the tenant. How does that flow works is, it looks for business justification for the newly created environment after 7 days. If there is a business justification, it's good. If there is no business justification or the business justification has been rejected by the admin, it will delete that environment. The second criteria is, the environment was approved with the business justification, but there were no apps or flows created in the last 90 days. Then also the Flow will delete those kind of environments also. As soon as the environment get deleted, it will trigger a adaptive card which says that your Microsoft Dataverse Teams environment got deleted on so and so date. Finally, what are the advantages and limitations if I configure COE on top of Dataverse for Teams? Advantages are I don't have to purchase per user license for all the users whoever want to leverage innovation backlog component and nurturing components. Sharing the apps across the organization is damn easy, and sharing the developer compliance center and app catalog are working with standard connectors. And the limitations are service account or dedicated account must have per user license. The reason behind that is all the flows created at the COE were configured with the pagination count as 100K. If you don't have per user account, the regular account will not be able to handle this throttling or pagination value. Second limitation is collecting telemetry information from audit log is not available at this stage. Last but not least, if the tenant is very big tenant and if you see that the number of records would be more than 1 million, you will have to upgrade your Dataverse for Teams environment to a production environment. I hope you liked and enjoyed the configuration and setup of COE Dataverse for Teams environment for Power Platform. If you like the video, add your comments. This is my contact information. I'm highly available on Twitter and LinkedIn. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for all future notification. Thank you. Have a nice day.